After learning that 50 Cent was preparing a documentary on him, T.I. decided to leak humiliating footage of Boosie. And now Boosie is panicking. Some of this footage is set to be revealed in the documentary, and it's shocking enough that it could seriously damage his career. To understand how he got to a point where T.I. is allegedly sending footage of Boosie to 50 Cent, we have to start with the war between T and 50 Cent in 2026. These two have had tension going back nearly 2 decades. The beef first began way back in 2006 when both rappers were at their peak. 50 was a star of Gun It, and T.I. was the self-proclaimed king of the South, and the tension began to appear in a competitive way with sneak disses. But for years, there was an uneasy truce that changed in February 2026. T.I. and 50 Cent's feud was reignited during Super Bowl weekend when Tip called out 50 for ducking him in a versus battle while talking to Nightcap. Then on $1 million worth of game, T.I. suggested that the two had agreed on a versus battle with the idea being that Tip would reveal the news. He claimed on the pod hosted by Gilly D. Kid and Wallow that 50 went back on the plan, playing dumb when the What You Know rapper shared the news. That was the match that lit the fuse. T was telling the world that 50 Cent agreed to do something, then backed out and pretended it never happened. For a man like T who has built a career on the idea that he does not back down, that was enough to go to war. 50 officially entered the chat shortly after T.I.'s appearance on $1 Million began circulating. The king, rapper, finally got what he wanted, a response from 50. Tip, though, might have forgotten to calculate that the Queen's rapper can get rather nasty on social media. And nasty is exactly what it got. Fifth posted 2 photos to his Instagram account. The first a rather unflattering photo of his wife, Tiny Harris, alongside the caption, "Keep my name out your mouth." In a second post, he compared T.I.'s son, King Harris, to Pepe the Frog. Now, you have to understand something about 50 Cent. He does not engage the same way other rappers do. He does not always go to the studio and lay down a verse. He trolls. He posts memes. He takes shots at people's families. He makes it personal in a way that goes beyond bars on a track. And when he posted that photo of Tiny Harris, it crossed a line that T.I. had not anticipated. T dragged his beef with 50 Cent straight into the studio. The Atlanta rapper did not just fire off one track. T has now released 4 diss tracks. Were the Right One Lessons and What Bully, while his sons King Harris and the Many Harris have also jumped in. This was not a casual exchange. This was a full campaign. T was treating 50 Cent the way he treats everything with maximum force. On the Right One, T calls 50 a 5-0 dispatcher, basically branding him a snitch and clowns him as a keyboard warrior who's tough online, but nowhere else. T.I. kept the pressure on with his third entry lessons, which online commentators and rap critics described as one of the strongest performances in years. Tip sounding genuinely hungry and reinvigorated. His 4th diss track, What Bully, targeted 50 Cent's online tough guy image versus his apparent reluctance to face real-world consequences. DJ academics drew direct comparisons to the Drake versus Kendrick Lamar beef, cementing this as one of the defining rivalries of 2026. But while T.I. was in the studio, the question on everybody's mind was whether 50 Cent would pick up a mic. So far, 50 Cent has not responded with music. His approach has been entirely social media-based, posting memes, jokes, and targeted images aimed at T.I. and his family. And that is what made everything worse. Because when 50 Cent does not respond with music, he responds with something else. Something that for some people hits harder than any diss track ever could. Content, documentaries, footage. And that brings us to how 50 Cent took this from a rap beef to something much bigger. Before we get to the footage in the documentary, we have to talk about King Harris, because King's involvement in this beef is what pushed everything to a level that even T himself admitted he did not want. 50 Cent did just that, and is now catching heat from King Harris, the 21-year-old son of T and Tiny. On Sunday, February 22nd, the rising rapper took to his Instagram stories with an explicit exploitive-laced rant after the 50-year-old mogul shared an unflattering photo of Tiny amid his escalating online feud with T.I. King was not about to let someone disrespect his mother on the internet without saying something, and what he said was direct. King said to the camera, referencing 50 Cent's mother, Sabrina Jackson, who died in 1983. He told 50 Cent that his mother was dead and to go dig her up. That is a quote from King Harris directed at a man whose mother passed away when he was 8 years old. That alone would have been enough to cause a firestorm. But King did not stop there. King Harris entered the fry with Made Man, his initial salvo in the beef. Then came a second track. T and Tiny's son King dropped a second 50C diss track titled Solace. The track directly addresses 50 Cent's social media behavior toward Tiny Harris, with King opening by declaring unconditional loyalty to his mother regardless of consequences. But the moment that truly sent shockwaves through the internet was a t-shirt. King Harris responded by wearing a t-shirt bearing the image of 50 Cent's late mother, Sabrina Jackson, who passed away in an apartment fire when 50 was just 8 years old. Rick Ross, who's also not a fan of 50 Cent, hopped in the comments and wrote, "Need that T and a 3X little bro." So Rick Ross was co-signing the shirt. The internet was split. Some people said King was defending his family. Others said he went too far by mocking a dead woman. T himself acknowledged this. The trap pioneer admitted that he felt things went too far in his war with 50 Cent when King Harris posted a photo of himself wearing a Rick Ross-approved t-shirt featuring 50's late mother, who passed away when he was just 8 years old. During an interview on the Ebro Laura Rosenberg show, T.I. was asked about his sons jumping into the beef. "No, I don't enjoy it." He said, "I spent so much time trying to get this lil and off the ledge. Now he has justifiable means to undo all the teaching that I've been teaching." T broke down his feelings in the interview with more context. "I'm a logical, reasonable man of respect. I raise my children to be men of respect. Logical, reasonable, and not to be emotional. But when someone posts an unflattering photo of your mother on Instagram for millions to see, logic and reason go out the window." T understood that. He understood why his sons reacted the way they did, but he also recognized a line that was crossed. T said, "This is enough." "When I seen that damn t-shirt, I said, chill out, bro. I'm big on treating people the way I want to be treated. I don't be out here just doing unto others in ways I don't want to be dealt with." They're like, "This is in response. It's over with. Let the Esther go, bro." The most polarizing moment of the beef came from T.I.'s eldest son, Demani Harris, 24, who dropped a near 4-minute diss track entitled Miss Jackson, sampling Outkast's iconic 2000 hit of the same name. Posted to Instagram, the track addresses 50 Cent's late mother directly. The track continues with thinly veiled threats, with Demani asking Sabrina whether she is happy with how her son has been carrying her family name. Reaction was split. Some praised the boldness. Others felt it crossed a line. When 50 posted photos dissing T.I.'s wife, Tiny Harris, their children, King Harris and Demani, stepped up to defend their mother while releasing explosive diss tracks targeting 50 and making the feud a family affair. And then something happened that nobody quite expected. As of March 2nd, 2026, in a surprising move, 50 Cent deleted all the negative posts he had directed at T.I. He scrubbed his social media. He went quiet. But as we have seen with 50 Cent, quiet does not mean finished. Quiet means he is working on something. And what he was working on was far more damaging than any meme or Instagram post. 50 Cent does not just win beef with bars. He wins them with business moves. And his biggest weapon in recent years has not been a microphone. It has been a camera. Sean Combs. The Reckoning is an American television documentary miniseries about the sexual misconduct allegations against rapper Sean Diddy Combs. Directed by Alexandria Stapleton. The series was released on Netflix on December 2nd, 2025. 50 Cent executive produced the entire thing. On December 7th, 2023, executive producer Curtis 50 Cent Jackson announced that he was developing a Sean Combs docuseries, and that proceeds from the project would go to victims of the sexual misconduct allegations against Combs. This was not a side project. This was a full-scale production that became one of the biggest releases of the year. In the 6 days after its release, the series was viewed 21.88 million times, making it the second most viewed Netflix title during the week of December 48, 2025, after Volume 1 of the 5th season of Stranger Things. That is the kind of reach 50 Cent now has. He is not just a rapper. He is a media mogul who can put together a 4-part documentary, get it distributed on the biggest streaming platform in the world, and have tens of millions of people watch it within a week. The documentary included footage that Diddy himself did not know was being used. Diddy's videographer squashed online rumors of there being a fee dispute or contract issue, instead claiming 50 Cent. And the director seemingly wound up with the footage because he hired a freelancer to briefly fill in. Combs was seemingly caught off guard that Netflix had obtained the footage, with his team sending a cease and desist letter to Netflix before the documentary aired. After the Diddy documentary 50 Cent revealed there was still more content that never made it to air. After the massive success of Sean Combs' A Reckoning on Netflix, executive producer Curtis 50 Cent Jackson revealed there's still 140-plus hours of unreleased footage that didn't make the 4-part docuseries. On The Sherry Shepherd Show, 50 teased a release of raw clips directly to YouTube, or I'll just put on YouTube, he said with a smirk when asked about a possible second season. So when 50 Cent went quiet in his beef with T.I. in early March 2026, people who've been watching his moves knew exactly what was coming. A man who just executive produced the most talked about documentary of 2025 does not just disappear from a beef. He repositions, and that is exactly what happened. 50 Cent has suggested that he's working on another documentary series, and this time it will be focused on the sexual abuse allegations against T and his wife Tiny Harris. In a now-deleted post on Instagram, he put up a snapshot of a news story titled 50 Cent reportedly developing surviving T.I. and Tiny documentary. The caption on that post was calculated. "Remember how quiet I got before the Diddy do? Dame thought I wasn't coming," he wrote, referring to the Diddy Netflix docu-series he executive produced, Sean Combs, The Reckoning. "I hope this doesn't mess up your promo tour. They're going to ask about your 20 sexual assault cases." He finished the post with advice. T.I. might want to talk to a crisis PR person. Now 50 Cent deleted the post. He always deletes the post. That is part of the strategy. He puts something out there, lets it circulate, lets the screenshots go everywhere, and then removes it. The damage is already done. The conversation has already started. And the beauty of it from 50's perspective is that he can always claim he was just joking. He was just trolling. He never confirmed anything, but everybody saw it. On March 5th, the New York rapper and producer shared a now-deleted Instagram post that included a screenshot of a news headline claiming he was behind a project titled Surviving T.I. The rumored documentary was described as an investigative-style project, similar to the documentary series 50 previously produced about Sean Diddy Combs. Instead of confirming whether the project is actually in development, 50 used the post caption to reference how he handled the role out of the earlier documentary. And this is the context in which the idea of T.I. sending footage of Boosie to 50 Cent lives. Because if 50 Cent is building a documentary, he needs content. He needs footage. He needs people willing to talk. And in hip-hop, when you have enemies, there's always someone willing to provide ammunition. To understand why T and Boosie's relationship is relevant to this 50C documentary situation, you need to understand the history between them. Because T and Boosie were not always enemies. They were collaborators. They were planning a joint album. They were doing business together. The breakdown started in February 2023. T and Boosie Badazz first bumped heads after Boosie lashed out at T during an appearance on Vlad TV. After being made aware of recent quotes from T.I., claiming he once cooperated against his dead relative in order to receive a lesser penalty for a crime, Bowie deemed T a rat for snitching and announced that the collaborative album the two had been working on would no longer be released. The whole thing was rooted in a story T.I. told on his own podcast. Boosie accused T of snitching on his dead cousin Toot. The claims surfaced because of a 2020 episode of his Expeditus show in which he spoke about a 2000 incident that led to a firearm charge. His lawyer offered to make everything go away if he pinned the weapon on Toot, who was murdered in the middle of the trial. On Vlad TV, Boosie laid out clearly. When Vlad brought up a clip of T admitting he snitched on his dead cousin, it spurred Bowie to go off about cooperating with law enforcement. Boosie said that if T did what he described, he was a rat, Bowie stated. Because if you're doing anything wrong, you do anything criminal, and you cooperate with law enforcement to get you out of trouble, that means you're cooperating. That means you're a rat. And then Boosie dropped the hammer on the album. He said he could not release a collaborative project with someone he now viewed as a cooperator. The internet exploded. People took sides. The discussion dominated hip-hop media for weeks. But the beef between T and Boosie had layers beyond the snitching claims. Earlier, there was tension over parenting. Boosie was in utter disbelief and criticized T for taking his daughter to a gynecologist to check her hymen was still intact. Boosie argued that T was being too controlling and invasive, and that he should respect his daughter's privacy. T defended his actions and claimed he was a responsible parent, and that Boosie should mind his own business. Then it got to the diss track phase. T released a diss track called F More Boosie, in which he called out Boosie for his disrespect towards him and his family. Boosie responded with his own diss track Ain't Shut, in which he accused T of being fake and not living up to his own principles. Bowie released another diss track called T.I. is a Snitch, accusing T of cooperating with the police in a previous legal case. T responded by inviting Boosie to come see his legal paperwork in person at a comedy show. He said, "Let a mother fitter know that the paperwork was present. I've been waiting on one special invited guest to show up, but he ain't showed up yet. But he ain't here to see my paperwork. So come on, if you got something to say. I want to see who want to see. You hear me?" The back and forth continued on social media and in interviews until the two finally spoke on the phone and resolved it. Bowie revealed he apologized to T.I. as the pair of rappers have buried the hatchet over their brief feud. The Baton Rouge legend joined Vlad TV once again for another explosive interview where he explained the two handled the spat like bosses after a phone conversation. Boosie explained, "He filled me in and I failed him. I gave him an apology because after we kept going back and forth to things he was doing for me in my life at the time, I kind of felt bad. He was doing some real __ helping me in a lot of ways. He still told T.I. he stands on what he stands on, but said the story that got them in the beef in the first place was embellished, and they were able to talk it out, so they couldn't let the internet win." On Sunday, April 9th, 2023, a photo of Tip and Boosie surfaced on social media, leading many to believe that they had put their differences behind them. T, who spoke with TMZ, said there is no bad blood between the two and that the whole situation stemmed from a misunderstanding. So on paper, T.I. and Boosie squashed their beef. But in hip-hop, squash does not always mean forgotten. And 50 Cent has a talent for digging up footage, sound bites, and clips from beefs that people thought were over. That is a connective tissue in this entire story. 50 Cent does not need new footage. He has the internet. He has archives. He has clips of Bowie calling T a rat. He has clips of T telling stories on his own podcast that gave Boosie ammunition. And the reverse is also true during the T and Boosie beef. T had things to say about Boosie. He was not quiet. He called Boosie out publicly. He had footage of himself challenging Bowie to show up and look at paperwork. All of that content exists. All of it is searchable. All of it is available to anyone who wants to use it. So here we are. 50 Cent is teasing a documentary about T and Tiny. T and Boosie have a recorded, documented, publicly aired beef that includes Vlad TV clips, Instagram posts, diss tracks, and social media rants. And 50 Cent has a history of using the internet and publicly available footage to build documentary content. The claim that T.I. sent footage of Boosie to 50 Cent fits into a pattern. During the T and Boosie beef, Boosie recorded himself calling T a rat on camera. That footage went everywhere. T recorded himself at comedy shows challenging Boosie. That footage is everywhere, too. And when 50 Cent was trolling both T and Boosie back in 2023, New York rapper 50 Cent stepped up to share his 2 cents on the drama between Boosie Badass and T over snitching accusations. 50 hit up his Instagram page with a meme. The clip takes recent footage of Boosie going off on Tip for pinning a criminal charge on his deceased family member, and a clip of T.I. making the major reveal. So 50C has already shown a willingness to use Boosie's own words and footage as weapons. He did it in 2023 when T and Boosie were going at it. He used Boosie's Vlad TV clips to troll T, and he used T.I.'s own podcast clips to stir the pot further. The idea that someone, whether T.I. or anyone else, would send additional footage to 50 Cent is not far-fetched in this context. Now, what does T.I. think about the documentary? He is not running from it. T posted on Instagram, "We can go bar for bar, hit for hit, or doc for dark. Either way, All you can do is show how much of an FN you is. Then in another post, 50 Cent drop whatever you choose. Just please keep showing the world you are 8, he wrote. N Clay, and you still ain't tell us why you and 4K Dog pulling with a smile of __. Pandora's box is ajar. So good luck. T is basically saying, go ahead and make your documentary. I am not afraid of it. And he even suggested he could make one of his own about 50 Cent. The Doc for Doc line is a direct reference to the Diddy documentary and a warning that if 50 Cent wants to play the documentary game, T.I. can play it too. But the reality is 50 Cent has the infrastructure. He has the Netflix relationship. Fifth previously served as an executive producer on the Diddy docu-series. Sean Combs, The Reckoning. He has Gunnet Film and Television. He has the production credits and the track record. T.I. does not have the same documentary apparatus. So, while the threat sounds good on Instagram, the playing field is not level. Comedian Tasha K has suggested that after the ongoing beef, the Candy Shop rapper has turned to his TV talents, with the rapper seemingly confirming the rumor. With the success of the rapper's previous Netflix documentary, it wouldn't be out of character for 50 to turn to a documentary to expose the couple. The allegations that would be at the center of such a documentary are not minor. In a post on Instagram, 50 Cent shared a screenshot showing a headline that reported Fifth is said to be developing a documentary about the married couple who've been accused of sexual misconduct by more than 30 women. In 2021, Sabrina Peterson alleged that T threatened to kill her and held a gun to her head during an incident in 2009. Those are the kinds of allegations that a documentary would put front and center. Meanwhile, T.I.'s music career is actually experiencing a resurgence through all of this chaos. T.I. is back in the Billboard Hot 100's Top 40 for the first time in more than a decade with Let Them Know, which reached a new peak of number 38 on the March 7 data chart. Meanwhile, Let Him Know is one of the early hits of 2026. The song part of T.I.'s retirement album, Kill the King, is currently number 1 at Urban Radio and on several charts. So, while 50 Cent is threatening documentaries, T.I. is charting. The beef has actually given T.I. more visibility than he has had in years. But visibility is a double-edged sword. While this could all be 50 Cent just blowing smoke and trolling, these are big words coming from a person who just participated in a documentary against someone he doesn't care for. People said the same thing about the Diddy documentary. People said 5-0 was just trolling, and then the documentary came out, and 8 million people watched it in 6 days. The Boosie angle in all of this is the wild card. Boosie has footage of himself going at T. T has footage of himself going at Boosie. And 50 Cent has already shown he is willing to use all of it. Whether T.I. personally deliberately sent footage of Boosie to 50 Cent, or whether 50 Cent is simply mining the internet for publicly available clips from their beef, the result is the same. The content exists. It is on the record and in the hands of someone like 50 Cent, who has turned documentary film into a weapon. That content can become something much larger than a few Instagram posts. 50 ultimately retreated and moved on from mocking T.I. and scrubbed his social media of all posts tied to the Harris family. But as 50 himself reminded everyone with his deleted post about the documentary, remember how quiet he got before the Diddy do. Remember how quiet I got before the Diddy do? Dame thought I wasn't coming, he wrote. So, is there a surviving T and Tiny documentary on the way? This has not been officially confirmed. The rumor was put forward by Tasha K, who alleged that 50 Cent is developing a documentary focusing on alleged drugging and assault accusations connected to T.I. 50 Cent has not confirmed it outright, but he also has not denied it. He posted about it, referenced his Diddy documentary, playbook, and then deleted the evidence. That is his pattern. That is how he operates. And in the middle of all of this, the footage from the T and Boosie beef sits there like an open filing cabinet. Clips of Boosie calling T a rat, clips of T telling stories about cooperating with law enforcement, clips of both men going at each other on social media. If 50 Cent wanted to build a documentary, he would not even need someone to send him footage. It is all out there. The internet never forgets. But the idea that T himself would send footage of Boosie, a man he reconciled with, a man whose children are close to his own children, to 50 Cent for use in a documentary, That would be a different level. That would mean T.I. is not just defending himself against 50 Cent. That would mean he is willing to burn bridges with Boosie to arm 50 Cent with ammunition. And if that is the case, then the situation between all three of these men is more complicated and more personal than any of them have publicly admitted. What we know for certain is this: 50 Cent is teasing a documentary. T says he is not afraid of it. Boosie and T.I. have a documented recorded history of conflict, and 50 Cent has a track record of turning beefs and footage into the most watched content on the biggest streaming platform in the world. Whether the footage was sent directly or simply collected from the internet, the pieces are in place. The only question now is whether 50 Cent will do what he has done before and press record. And if the Diddy documentary taught us anything, it is this: when 50 Cent goes quiet, that is when you should pay the most attention.